Hey up, this is part 2 of my artist engineer definition philosophy videos. So I'm going to try and intuitively and instinctively and without much real thought to what I'm going to say before I say it, I want to dive into this idea and try and expand on this idea. And I'm currently listening to Autecho Yuto Robot Dance Mix to try and inspire with these new ideas without having to, anyway, that's by the by. So artist engineer. In the previous video I was talking about how the artist engineer would use collaboration, would be an innovator, would use all the tools at their disposal to basically help the world and bring the biosphere being our natural environment and world, into a equilibrium and balance. So what are the methods and what's the end goal of all this? Basically, for me, as far as I see it, the end goal is a more a healthier biosphere. So taking into working on becoming in some senses what I'm talking about is a technologist, but I'm thinking more of a visionary than what that means today, because generally when people think of technologists, they think of web designers, people who are into this stuff for money, or web developers, or obviously not all web developers are the same, but I'm not going to say that. I mean, I'm fucking a web developer to a degree. But yeah, the artist engineer would use creative means, in this definition that I'm developing, will use the artistic tools, the technological tools at his or her disposal to create a better future. Now, what do we want this better future to be? It's evidently, I think it has to be one that's not based on endless consumption of resources which are running out. So part of the artist engineer's goal is to think of working collaboratively, think of more efficient ways of using energy, or more efficient energy sources, creating cultural vistas, cultural landmarks, upping the level of culture, because culture itself has become very second-rate. We've got a second-rate culture at present, in the mass culture anyway. Obviously there's an underground and an undercurrent, and the internet's helped a lot with that, but even that is becoming people are wanting to control that a lot more. I'm not an expert on all the latest goings on in the internet bills and such, but my general understanding is that that's something we really, as a human race, that we really have to try and reverse the flow of, because if we don't have a free internet, then I think we're fucked. We need a free internet, obviously with a degree of regulation, but yeah. So artist engineer, technologist, uses the principles of creativity. Alright, let's just bring in a historical example to try and make it more obvious the kind of thing I'm trying to put across. Someone like, and it's such an obvious comparison, some people will scoff at this, but I don't really care. Someone like Leonardo da Vinci, for example, wanted to understand the body. He wanted to understand anatomy. He wanted to understand, he made inventions and yada yada yada. Our culture and our idea as artists has moved away from that, to the point where we think of artists as simply being expressors of, in contemporary art terms, we're in a weird kind of postmodern zone where obviously everything's up for grabs, everything's remixed all constantly. But I think in some respects, art in the overall art pitch, the overall picture of art has become too self-involved, navel-gazy, and basically self-involved, and too much of a circle jerk in a lot of respects, which obviously happens a lot in any system. But art, it seems especially, has become very much about lowest common denominator kind of bullshit. I mean, two words spring to mind: Jeff Koons. I mean, it's just the worst kind of banal shit ever. It's my opinion. Take it or leave it. But yeah, anyway, I mean, I think we need to build on top of these, like, not on top of these, but away from this pop culture kind of like just reiterating pop cultural fucking shit, and actually try and develop something which is real. And how we can do this, potentially we can use the new technological computing platforms we've got to create interesting environments, interesting in mental spaces. I'm very much interested myself in creating spaces for in terms of like the new emerging technologies for new ideas to grow and germinate. And I think that's what the role of this artist engineer that I'm developing has to fulfill. Is that of the builder. We build systems, we test their relevancy online, build them up. That's what everything's about. Everything in the world's always been about that. Building systems of thought, building systems, frameworks of design. And the artist engineer's job, now defined, is to do that in the 21st century so it can actually survive through to the 22nd, not have the military industrial complex running everything. Maybe, I don't know, like legalize weed and then kind of just get on with building something that's a bit more kind of better than what we have now, which is basically a shed load of bullshit.